We've just discovered that during the time when Parliament was voting on whether to have more lockdowns, Matt Hancock and the government were threatening a Tory MP and warning him that if he rebels against the lockdown policy, then his constituency's disabled children budget will not be funded. Now, this one is absolutely disgusting. Over the last few days, this channel has become the go-to place for all the lockdown files, updates, all the revelations, all the leaked WhatsApp messages, and will continue to be the source for you guys. We've created a dedicated playlist on the channel called Lockdown Files. You can watch all the videos on that every day. But this one is absolutely disgusting. Of all the things we've said, some of them have been just ridiculous and funny. Some of the stuff have been quite dodgy. But this one is about James Daly MP and Matt Hancock. So the government, they had this task force that they decided to use the government whips in Parliament to threaten and intimidate MPs, at worst. At best, just to negotiate and convince them that more lockdowns are good. Let's just do more face nappies and everything else. So they had this list, and we've got the leaked spreadsheet of all the list of all the MPs, the Tory MPs, and what their problem was and how to tackle them. And James Daly became one of the biggest victims because they had to force him to say yes to lockdown because they were threatening his constituency's disabled children fund. So they were literally going to harm vulnerable people and their public funding for support if the MP of that constituency didn't back the government on a political matter. Disgusting. So, 28th of November 2020, so second lockdown days. We had Alan Nixon, who was a special advisor to Matt Hancock, sending this PDF file, this spreadsheet, saying this is the latest list from the government whips. Please don't share. Oops. Yes, it's been shared now. Hi guys. So let's talk about this. We have a couple of names, few names on this. As an example, you've got Jeffrey Clifton Brown, you've got Geoffrey Cox, you've got David Davis, you've got Mark Francois, you've got David Jones, you've got Andrew Letson. So David Davis was the comments from the government webs. They said, David Davis is just refusing the calls. He's ignoring us. We've had a number of others. For example, let's go to the first one, and the two Jeffreys at the top, and then we're going to talk about Mark Francois, David Jones, and Andrea Letson. So, the two Jeffreys, one of them said, no, he will vote against or maybe abstain. Feels like there is lack of parliamentary scrutiny on the tier system. And then you had Geoffrey Cox saying, well, cannot support this bill at present. We'll need more transparency and a dashboard for each area so local authorities can measure where they are at and plot an escape. Obviously, David Davis is ignoring the calls. Mark Francois is quite cross and saying that he only agreed to vote the once, but is determined to vote against us on this next week. He also says that he wants not calls or briefings as the science has been discredited and the cure is now worse than the disease. Yes, Mark Francois was absolutely spot on. David Jones says he will vote against but wants more information. Andrew Letson also said she wants to see more proper impact assessment. She cannot support at present. So each one of them, they had this list and they approached each MP either by bribing them, by convincing them, or scaring them. And this is where James Daly came in. They basically just went robust against people like James Daly because he's a nice, lovely MP. And you can't really just bribe him. So, 22nd of November 2020. Special advisor Alan Nixon said, I think we need to dangle our top asks over some of these 2019 intake MPs who are going off the boil this coming week. Thoughts on me on suggesting to chief SPADs, the actual chief whips, special advisors, that they give us a list of all the 2019 intakes, the new MPs thinking of rebelling. For example, James Daly wants his learning disability hub in Bury. So we get the whips to call him up and say that the health team that the health team want to work with him to deliver this. But that will be off the table if he rebels. These guys' re-election hinges on us in a lot of instances, and we know what they want. We should seriously considering it, in my opinion. And Matt Hancock said, yes, 100%. Let's threaten the vulnerable, disabled children and put their lives at risk just because we want to vote, one vote. Are you kidding me? This is one of the most immoral things that came out of these lockdown files. This should be almost illegal. It's so immoral that the system is broken. You cannot do this. This should not operate on this level. I fully understand how politics works in any parliament or senate that you do negotiations. You do not necessarily bribery, but you say, if you do this for me, for the government, then we'll do this for you. But you don't use it against them. That's just completely bad. You don't threaten and say this is going to be off the table. If you rebel against the lockdown, we're not going to help the vulnerable children in your area. Absolutely disgusting. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. We're going to come back in half an hour. We have more updates for you guys every half an hour today on Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.